Seniors, 7 collagen-rich vegetables you must eat for your legs and joints. Have you ever stood up from your chair, only to pause just for a second as your knees resisted, or maybe after a short walk, your ankles feel tight, your hips ache just enough to make you slow down again? If you're over 60, you're not imagining things, and you're certainly not alone. You see, one of the quiet truths of aging is that our joints, those faithful hinges of movement, begin to speak louder. Not with words, but with stiffness, swelling, and soreness. It's not just about growing older, it's about what our bodies lose quietly over time: collagen, the very substance that cushions and supports every step we take. But here's something I want to tell you as a doctor, and more importantly, as someone who's walked beside thousands of people in their later years. There's still a way to nourish your joints from the inside out. Not with expensive pills, not with complicated routines, but with everyday vegetables that help your body remember how to heal. So pull up a chair, make yourself comfortable, and let's take this journey together. Today, I'll gently walk you through 7 powerful vegetables that quietly support your body's natural collagen. Let's begin. Friend. Part 1. Spinach, the gentle joint builder. Let me begin with a vegetable that's probably sitting in your fridge right now. It's quiet, unassuming, often passed over for something flashier. But spinach, yes. Just plain spinach might be one of the most underrated friends your joints have ever had. You see, spinach doesn't contain collagen itself, but what it does contain is something even more important for people like us: the raw materials your body needs to make collagen. As we grow older, collagen production begins to decline, often without much warning. And when that happens, we begin to feel it: the stiffness in the knees, the creaking in the hips, the slow drain of energy after movement. Our joints are trying their best, but they're missing the support they once had. Spinach, though, is rich in vitamin C, magnesium, iron, and lutein, a blend of nutrients that quietly fuels the collagen-making process. Let's break that down together, shall we? Vitamin C is crucial. Not just for immunity, but for building the collagen triple helix. Think of it as the strong braid that holds your joint tissues together. Magnesium helps reduce inflammation, softening the tissues around your joints so blood can flow. Healing can happen. Iron delivers oxygen, vital for cellular repair deep inside your knees, ankles, and hips. Lutein, a powerful plant compound, helps guard your tissues against oxidative stress, the kind that wears collagen down faster than it can rebuild. Now, let me share something from a patient I saw a few years back. Her name was Clara, 74 years old, with beautiful silver hair and knees that had started to betray her. She told me, "Doctor, I used to walk to the lake every morning. Now I hold on to the wall just to get out of bed." We looked at her diet, and you know what was missing? Greens, especially spinach. We added it 4 times a week, gently sautéed in olive oil, stirred into soup, or even blended into a banana smoothie. 6 weeks later, she smiled and said, "I made it to the lake. No wall." Science backs her up. A recent study found that older adults who added spinach regularly experience less stiffness, better hydration in their joints, and more strength climbing stairs. So my friend, if your joints have been speaking up lately, consider giving them what they're quietly asking for. You don't need to overhaul your life. Just start small, a handful of spinach on your plate. Because sometimes healing isn't about doing more. It's about giving your body what it remembers how to use. And if spinach is the quiet builder, the next vegetable we'll talk about is the fierce defender, ready to fight inflammation at its root. Part 2. Broccoli, the inflammation defender. Now that we've met spinach, the quiet builder, let me introduce you to another friend. This one isn't gentle, it's a fighter. Steadfast, green, and always ready to defend you where it matters most inside your joints. I'm talking about broccoli. Yes, the same broccoli that many of us ignored as kids. The one we used to push around the plate. Well, as it turns out, that stubborn little tree might be one of the fiercest protectors of joint health in our later years. Why? Because of something called sulforaphane. Now, don't let the scientific name scare you. Sulforaphane is a natural compound found in broccoli that acts like a cleanup crew. It sweeps away the low-level chronic inflammation that builds up in our knees, hips, and spine as we age often without us noticing. This kind of inflammation is sneaky. You may not even feel it until you try to kneel, stand, or walk longer than usual. But inside, it's quietly wearing down cartilage, drying out joint fluid and making movement feel harder. Sulforaphane slows that down. It gives your joints room to breathe, to heal. And more than that, broccoli also delivers vitamin C, again to help build collagen, and vitamin K, which helps keep calcium in your bones, not in your joints. That's important, because misplaced calcium, what doctors call calcification, can make joints stiff and painful, especially around the knees. Let me tell you about a gentleman I cared for. His name was Harold, 81, once a carpenter, strong hands, proud posture, but his knees, they'd betrayed him over the years. He came to me not asking for pain meds, but with a softer question, "Doctor, how can I feel like I used to?" I suggested something: small broccoli 3 times a week, steamed lightly with garlic and olive oil. Nothing fancy, just consistent. 12 weeks later, he told me this: "I still can't run. Doc, but I walked to church without the cane last Sunday." Studies confirm this. Seniors who eat broccoli regularly show lower levels of C-reactive protein, a marker for inflammation, and report less stiffness and greater ease of movement, especially in the hips and knees. So if you're feeling stuck, like inflammation has been dictating your day, maybe it's time to give broccoli another chance. You don't need to eat a mountain of it. A few florets here, a little in your soup there, or even broccoli sprouts if digestion is sensitive. Because sometimes the strongest offenders don't shout. They just stand guard quietly, bite by bite. Next up, we'll talk about a food so small. Most of us forget it's even food, but inside this tiny clove is a giant of healing. Let's talk about garlic. Part 3: Garlic, the tiny healer. It's small, humble, and often thought of as nothing more than a seasoning. But garlic, dear friend, is so much more than just flavor. For those of us whose joints whisper or sometimes shout when we move, garlic might be the gentle medicine we never knew we needed. Let me explain. Garlic is rich in sulfur compounds, particularly one called allicin. Now, sulfur may not sound glamorous, but in the world of collagen, it's essential. Think of it as the binding agent, the glue, that holds collagen fibers together. Without enough sulfur in your diet, your body struggles to produce strong, elastic collagen, the kind that keeps joints flexible and tendons resilient. And here's the beautiful part. Allicin is only activated when garlic is chopped, crushed, or chewed. So every time you prepare it with care, you're awakening its healing power. But garlic doesn't stop there. It's also a natural anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. That means it calms the immune system when it overreacts, like in arthritis, and protects joint tissues from oxidative stress. One of the silent enemies of aging. One patient of mine, Mr. Leon, 76, had chronic swelling in both ankles. His daily walks had become shorter, slower, and eventually non-existent. He told me, "Doctor, I feel like my feet are full of sandbags." We looked at his diet. He loved flavor but relied mostly on packaged sauces. We made a simple switch: fresh garlic, used 3 to 4 times a week in home-cooked meals. 8 weeks later, he came in grinning. I walked to the bakery and back. First time in months, no sandbags. That's garlic at work. And the science supports what I've seen in the clinic. Studies show that older adults who regularly consume garlic experience reduced levels of pro-inflammatory cytokines, those molecules that cause pain and swelling in joints. Garlic also improves circulation, helping your blood carry nutrients and oxygen deep into damaged cartilage, fueling the rebuilding process from within. And let's not forget, it boosts immune health, which often declines as we age. A healthier immune system means less chronic inflammation and more energy to support healing. So, how do you bring garlic into your life? Gently. Start fresh. Crush a clove. Let it rest for 10 minutes. This activates the alicin. Then add it to your dish. Soups, stir-fries, roasted vegetables, even mixed with a bit of olive oil for spreading garlic fits into nearly every meal. It's a quiet healer, yes, but its power is real. And just when you think something so small couldn't possibly make a difference, your knees, ankles, and hips may remind you otherwise. Next, we'll move from the small to the bold and everyday vegetable that doesn't just protect cartilage, but actually feeds it. Let's talk about carrots. Part 4: Carrots, fuel for cartilage. Bright, familiar, slightly sweet. Carrots have always been there on dinner plates, in lunchboxes, in soups made by loving hands. But most of us only think of carrots as good for the eyes. What we don't often realize is that they're just as powerful for our joints, especially as we age. You see, inside every carrot is a storehouse of beta-carotene, which the body transforms into vitamin A. And vitamin A, my friend, is deeply involved in keeping cartilage, the smooth cushion at the ends of our bones, healthy and strong. Now, cartilage is a quiet part of the body. It doesn't complain when it wears down. It just gets thinner, drier, less elastic. And one day, getting out of a chair feels like climbing a hill. Vitamin A helps slow that thinning. It supports the maintenance and repair of cartilage, helping the body retain the protective padding that makes movement smooth and pain-free. But that's not all. Carrots also contain polyacetylenes, plant compounds with anti-inflammatory properties. These compounds quietly reduce stress inside joint tissues, helping to calm down the constant low-level irritation that often comes with aging. I once had a lovely patient, Mary, age 79. She told me she'd stopped knitting, not because she didn't love it anymore, but because her fingers just didn't feel the same. "I feel like I'm knitting with twigs," she said with a sad little laugh. We made small changes. Carrots became part of her lunch, shredded into salads, roasted alongside sweet potatoes, blended into soup. In 2 months, she came in with a scarf she'd made. I finished it without stopping once. She said, "And my hands didn't ache after." That's not magic. That's nutrition meeting consistency. And science echoes Mary's story. Older adults who eat beta-carotene-rich foods regularly show less joint degeneration, improved hand grip strength, and reduced reliance on pain medications. One tip: cook carrots with a small amount of healthy fat like olive oil. That helps your body absorb the beta-carotene more effectively, making each bite more nourishing. So the next time you slice into a carrot, remember, you're not just making dinner. You're making a quiet investment in your knees, your hands, your stride. And if carrots help cushion your joints, the next vegetable on our journey does something even deeper. It activates the very process your body uses to rebuild collagen. Let's move on to onions. Part 5: Onions, the collagen activator. It's not fancy, not exotic. In fact, onions are one of the most ordinary ingredients in the kitchen. But when it comes to joint health, they may hold one of the most extraordinary secrets. Let me tell you why. Onions are rich in quercetin, a powerful antioxidant with a talent for calming inflammation and protecting collagen fibers from breaking down. You may not see or feel this process right away, but deep inside your joints, this humble vegetable is doing something amazing. It's helping your body protect and rebuild the very tissue that keeps your knees bending, your back upright, and your stride steady. Quercetin works like a natural shield for your collagen. It defends your joints from daily wear and tear, oxidative stress, and immune overreaction, all of which speed up aging inside the joints. And it's not working alone. Onions are also loaded with sulfur compounds, which act as the foundation for building collagen. Think of sulfur as the scaffolding. Without it, your body struggles to form strong collagen chains, leaving tendons and ligaments more fragile and joints more prone to pain. Let me bring this home with a story. Mr. Charles, a retired teacher in his 80s, told me he'd stopped gardening. Not because he didn't enjoy it, but because crouching, standing, and reaching had become too painful. "I feel like my body is rusting," he said with a weary smile. "We didn't start with supplements. We started with food." I asked him to start using onions at least 5 times a week in stews, stir-fries, roasted, or raw in salads. 6 weeks later, he came into my clinic with a tomato from his garden. "First harvest of the season," he said, and I didn't even need to sit down once. His lab results, lower inflammation markers, improved joint mobility, and his face told the rest: relief, joy, and the quiet pride of returning to something he loved. Science supports what Charles felt. Onions have been shown to lower joint swelling, improve collagen structure, and even support joint fluid production, keeping movement smooth. And here's the best part. They're easy to use. You don't need a new recipe. Just add a little more onion to the meals you already enjoy. Sauté them in olive oil, simmer them in broth, or chop them raw into your lunch. Your body knows what to do with it. It just needs a little help getting started again. So if your joints feel brittle, stiff, or less responsive, let onions be the signal your body needs to wake up its natural repair system. And from the steady support of onions, we now turn to a vegetable known for its nutrient density, one that actively rebuilds what time may have worn down. Next, we meet kale. Part 6: Kale, the joint rebuilder. You've likely heard kale described as a superfood, but behind that trendy label lies something far more important for you and me. Kale is a quiet rebuilder, especially for joints that have carried decades of steps, weight, and memories. Let's look a little closer. Kale is packed with nutrients your body needs to not only maintain collagen, but also rebuild it, especially after years of wear. It's especially rich in vitamin C to support collagen synthesis. Vitamin K to prevent calcium buildup around joints. Manganese and copper, 2 essential trace minerals involved in collagen cross-linking, which gives collagen its strength and flexibility. Let me explain that last part. Collagen isn't just one strand, it's a braided structure. And like a rope, its durability depends on how well the fibers are connected. That's where manganese and copper come in. Without them, collagen may form, but it won't hold. This is where kale shines. Its nutrient profile helps your body rebuild strong, flexible collagen, the kind that doesn't just cushion your knees, but helps them rebound. I remember a patient, Julia, 83 years old. She told me, "I used to love dancing, even just in my kitchen, but now I don't trust my knees." We added kale to her meals, lightly steamed, sometimes chopped raw with lemon, or stirred into warm lentil soups. She wasn't aiming for miracles, just a little movement, a little joy. 3 months later, her face lit up as she told me, "Doctor, I danced yesterday. Just 2 songs, but it felt like a celebration." And that's the truth. Healing isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's 2 songs in the kitchen on knees that no longer complain. Scientific studies back this up. Older adults who eat kale and other leafy greens regularly show better joint lubrication, higher cartilage resilience, fewer early morning aches, improved balance and mobility. Kale also plays another role that often goes unnoticed. It helps guide calcium to the bones where it belongs and keeps it out of soft tissues like your joints. That means less stiffness, less crunching, and more freedom in how you move. So, how can you make kale part of your routine? Start simple. You don't need fancy recipes. Just saute it gently with garlic and olive oil, add it to a soup, or massage it raw with lemon juice and a little salt. A handful here, a bowl there. That's enough. Kale is the kind of friend your joints need at this stage in life: strong, reliable, quiet. And if kale is the rebuilder, then the next vegetable we'll explore is the cushion, a surprisingly forgotten food that helps your joints stay hydrated, soft, and protected. Let's rediscover the power of cabbage. Part 7. Cabbage, the forgotten cushion for your joints. Let's end this journey with one of the most modest vegetables of all, one that may have been sitting quietly in your fridge for years. Overlooked, underestimated, but never unimportant. Cabbage. Plain yes. But weak. Not at all. In fact, when it comes to nourishing aging joints, cabbage might be one of the strongest allies you can find. Here's why. Cabbage is rich in vitamin C, just like some of the other vegetables we've discussed, but it's also one of the best plant-based sources of glutamine, a special amino acid that plays a key role in tissue repair and hydration. As we get older, our joints don't just lose collagen, they lose fluid. The lubrication that helps our knees bend without friction and our hips rotate without grinding. Cabbage helps restore that fluid balance. It supports the soft tissues around your joints and encourages the natural production of synovial fluid, the body's own joint moisturizer. And more than that, cabbage contains anthocyanins, especially in red or purple varieties. These are powerful anti-inflammatory compounds that help reduce joint swelling and pain, especially in the morning. Let me tell you about Mrs. Jean, 85 years old, a widow with gentle hands and a passion for baking. She came to see me because her ankles were swelling after every afternoon on her feet. Even standing to knead dough has become a burden, she said quietly. We didn't take away her baking. We simply added cabbage steamed, braised, raw, and coleslaw 3 times a week. 8 weeks later, she brought me a loaf of homemade rye bread. Doctor, she smiled. I stood through the whole kneading. No swelling, no ice packs. Her labs showed better hydration markers. But more importantly, her quality of life had returned. Cabbage also contains sulfur, just like garlic and onions, which helps bind collagen molecules into strong, flexible structures. And it supports gut health, which plays a surprisingly big role in inflammation regulation throughout the body. It's also easy to prepare, boiled with a splash of vinegar, stir-fried, or shredded raw into salads. So yes, cabbage may not sparkle, but it steadies, it strengthens, and it nourishes the parts of you that hurt quietly and carry you daily. If you've ever woken up with stiffness in your knees or swelling in your ankles, consider cabbage not as a side dish, but as medicine on a plate. And with that, we've met 7 vegetables, each one ordinary yet deeply powerful. Each one ready to support you in the most important movement of all, the return to ease. Let's take one more step together as we move into the conclusion. So, my friend, we've walked together through 7 humble vegetables, each with its own quiet strength, each offering your joints a little comfort, a little repair, a little hope. Spinach, broccoli, garlic, carrots, onions, kale, and cabbage. They may not seem magical at first glance, but healing rarely comes in flashes. It comes in small choices, repeated over time. A spoonful here, a slice there, a few more greens in your bowl. That's how your body remembers how to rebuild. That's how pain begins to loosen its grip. So if your knees creak or your back tires too quickly, don't rush. Don't give up. Instead, feed your joints. Gently, patiently, consistently. You don't need pills to start healing. You just need a kitchen and the will to try. If this message spoke to you, consider sharing it with someone you care about. And let me know what's one vegetable you'll start with this week. I'm always here, cheering you on. Until next time, stay well, stay steady.